Okay, there's quite the ruckus here. We've had the anti-Trumpers yelling and the pro-Trumpers yelling, so let me try to flip this around.
Performing Arts for hosting this event. In order to accommodate the Van Wezel's performance schedule today, we will try to keep this event to about an hour and 15 minutes. We want for as many people as possible to be able to make a comment, to share their concerns and their thoughts with Congressman Buchanan, and to ask a question. Therefore, we do ask that you keep your comments and your questions as brief as possible to allow as many people as possible to be heard today. We have two gentlemen who will be in the audience with the handheld microphones. They will call on you. There's a word. They will come to you, they will call on you, they will hold the mic.
All right, prior to this individual coming on, there was a anti-Trumpers to the right of me yelling and pro-Trumpers to the left of me.
That is so that as many people as possible can be heard.
So we're going to see if it starts back up again. It should start up in a minute.
We ask that you please stay in your seat until you're called upon. The fire marshal has cautioned us, please do not stand in the aisleways. That is a fire hazard. We want this to be a safe event. We want our constituents to be safe today. We also ask that you be civil. And be polite. We might not all agree, but we want to be respectful of one another today so that we can have a productive dialogue. Now join me in welcoming Congressman Buchanan.
They're holding up.
Let's get started. Sarasota likes to think big. This is the largest town hall ever. Let me just say to you, we originally had scheduled this for a venue of 400 to 500. We got over 5,000 RSVPs. There's 2,000-3,000 outside. We did make the mics available and sound available outside, so it'll be available to them. But let's do this. Let's start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll have one of our veterans come up. Frank, if you could all rise.
Oh, come on, stop it.
Vietnam veteran, Frank, go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Also, just quickly, how many veterans do we have in the room?
Ooh.
Let's give our veterans a big round of applause. Okay, let's get this meeting started. We want to get as many questions and your comments in as we can, and we'll start over here on the left.
All right, if you're just joining,
Congressman
there we go.
Buchanan, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation, your district is home to almost 50,000 ACA American enrollees under the ACA. Of these, 36,752 receive an income-related subsidy. Under the House version of the American Health Care Act, those subsidies will be dramatically reduced. According to the Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, millions around the country will lose coverage or be unable to afford it. Finally, Florida ranks 49th in Medicaid coverage for mental illness and substance abuse. My question, sir, is if you vote for the proposed Republican American Health Care Act, How do you explain to your 36,752 constituents that you voted to repeal their subsidies, thereby making their ability to get affordable health insurance impossible? And how do you reconcile the need for care for the mentally ill and those with substance addiction with the near certain reduction of Medicaid funds in Florida?
Thank you for the question. We're in the very early stages of the legislative process. Next week, I'd like to say we've got a 9-inning game. We're in the 3rd inning. I can tell you that one of the areas I am concerned about is seniors 50 to 65. And by the way, how many people here are on Medicare? Let me just say to all of you on Medicare and Social Security, I'm on the Ways and Means Committee. The most important thing is to make sure those are solid programs. But back to your question, is that our goal is to do more, especially in the space 50 to 65, because the bill that we've got right now that we passed last week, and in terms of our committee, it needs more work. We've got to make sure there's more support for our seniors. So that's the goal. We'll take a question over here.
Shut up. Stick a sock in it.
Okay, let's get as many questions as we can in. Let's give the gentleman a chance to ask a question or a comment.
Shut up.
I'd like to see you make sure that all laws that mandate the people also apply to the Congress and the federal government.
Completely agree with you. Appreciate your question. Let's get a question here. Next question.
Congressman Buchanan, do you support the immediate release of Donald Trump's tax return?
No, it's weird about this guy. 2005 came out. You know, 50 million.
What do you think taxpayers return to do?
Business connections with Russian oligarchs.
This is AstroTurf for Russian oligarchs and tax returns.
On the tax returns, I do believe someone that wants to run for president should release their tax returns. But I wouldn't enforce it. If they don't want to release them, that's up to them.
Some hostility here, folks.
Congressman, do any of the previous actions and statements by President Trump embarrass you in the least? are being ridiculed around the world because of lies, admitted lies that are being told by our president. We're losing all stature in the world. Doesn't this embarrass you or frighten you?
Well, let me just say, I don't agree with everything the president says or does from that standpoint. But my focus, in terms of my committee, Ways and Means, I'm focused on saving Medicare, Social Security, focused on jobs, and that's where my energy is.
If you're asking why they're holding up cards, green means you agree, red means you disagree.
I'll just add to that the idea that he's not a career politician. He is
He's a career liar!
I tell people,
Obama was the liar.
hold on a minute,
Obama
as I
was
tell
the liar.
people, it's not even when you look at so much about Trump or the last President Obama, it's about the American people. It's about the American people. If you look at 31 states that he won, they made the decision. My mindset is to try to work with. I might not agree with the last president necessarily getting elected, but my attitude, I need to work with him and make things work going forward, and that's the same way I feel with Trump.
Good morning, Congressman. When we began this town hall, we all pledged allegiance to this great country. You said a few moments ago that it wasn't incumbent upon the president to release his tax returns. How, therefore, can you exercise your Article 1 powers for our benefit in knowing whether this president, who is unique, as you just said, as a business entrepreneur, how do we know when he is not in conflict of interest if you voted against on the Ways and Means Committee the release of those tax returns to your committee so that you would know when he is asking Congress to take actions, whether it benefits the United States of America or the Trump brand.
As I suggested, I think anybody who runs for office should release them. Their tax reforms.
There's a sign.
He did put out a financial disclosure. But, hey, look, here's how I look at it partly. Before I did this, I was in business for 30 years. I had 1,200 employees. I want to see results. I want to see if he's going to make a difference on health care, if he's going to make a difference on jobs, if he's going to make a difference on dealing with our national debt, the deficit. I'm looking for results, and that's the mindset I bring to it. He's been there 2 months. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
Sir, in the Gospel according to John, quote, "Whoever has the world's goods
and sees his brother in need and closes his heart against him, how does the love of God abide in him?" Unquote. Paul Ryan's American Health Care Act proposes higher co-pays for worse coverage. This is expected to target 24 million of our lower income population who will not be able to afford health care simply by receiving inadequate tax deductions. Medicaid expansion for the poor is also targeted with $880 billion set to be slashed. Paul Ryan is a Catholic, and as a Catholic, one upholds corporal acts of mercy, which concern the material needs of others. And yet he called this bill an act of mercy, which only addresses the needs of the rich. You yourself are a Southern Baptist, and I assume you follow the Bible. I think you would agree that a person's faith is essential to how they conduct themselves in public and in private. Taking all this into account, can you please explain to us how this health care bill, in fact, reflects your religious beliefs?
Oh, they're for religion now. Oh, they're for religion.
The biggest issue in health care, and I can tell you when I was chairman of the chamber 20 years ago in Sarasota, the number one issue is available and affordable health care. And that's 20 years ago. That hasn't changed today. In our community, deductibles for health care are $7,000 per family. The health care system for those folks in the ACA, and I'd say the last 20 years, is a disaster. Say to you, I read the other day, maybe about 3 or 4 months ago, that the average person, or 62% of Americans, don't have $1,000 in the bank. And I think one of the reasons for that is because so much of the cost has got pushed to families. So a family of 4 today in our community pays $7,000 deductible. So we've had this experiment for the last 7 or 8 years. We are using some aspects of it, pre-existing conditions. Your children stay on to your 26. No lifetime caps, but the point is we've got to find a way to make it better and less expensive. Thank you. Question?
I just moved here in October to be with my 91-year-old father and my brother. And I have to say, because my husband just died in Alaska in June, I have to say that I'm happy you did this. But I've been an activist all my life, but for people with disabilities, parity is still not here. What are we going to do about the lower unemployment rate? 80% of people with disabilities are unemployed or underemployed. What are we going to do about trauma against people with disability? Who I believe everybody with a disability has been traumatized by a workplace or in their home. What are you going to do about that? Thank you.
First, I want to say sorry to hear about your loss with your husband. But in terms of disabilities, a lot more we need to do and continue to work in that area. Just in general, I can just tell you that's one of the things we're looking closely at in terms of the health care bill, that they get the support they need, especially as we're talking about Medicaid. We can't leave. We've got to make sure we take care of them, and I'm hopeful we will. One other point on the health care bill is that whatever we do in the health care bill, the goal is this will be something we want to kind of have a landing, that most of this won't even be applicable until probably 2020. And then from there we can make it work.
Yes, Congressman, you indicated early on today that you were interested in strengthening Social Security and Medicare. The Ryan Care bill diminishes both those programs by reducing funding to those programs. In Ways and Means, I believe you supported those provisions. And cutting funds flowing to Social Security and Medicare can only result in the reduction of benefits for people who receive Social Security and Medicare. Those programs need to be strengthened through proper and adequate funding in the future. You cannot exempt the rich from paying their due share, and that is exactly what you are doing.
Let me answer the gentleman. Of the tax dollars that we take in, do you have any idea how much money we take in Washington per year? So let me go back. Let me answer the question. We take in $3.5 trillion. To put it in perspective, the state takes in $85 billion. $3.5 trillion. $1 trillion goes to Social Security right now. Out of $3.5, another $1 trillion goes to health care, and I'm on the committee that oversees. I'm on the subcommittee on Social Security, oversees Medicare, and I can tell you we're looking to build those and strengthen those long term.
Congressman Buchanan, I'm curious as to what possible rationale you could have used when you voted to make it easier for the mentally ill to have access to care.
People that have mental illness should get a gun, obviously. But in terms of disabilities, there are some people that should have Second Amendment rights that shouldn't affect them. So that's the mindset.
There are 30 countries out there that have universal health care for their residents. The most powerful country in the world have universal health care, and if you're going to make us take the other health care, then I want you to take it as well.
By the way, I am on Obamacare for my health care. So, you know, the ACA, I am on that program. But let me answer this question. In terms of, you look at health care, 4% of the population is on the ACA. Another 4%, you can go look at the numbers, 4% is on the ACA, another 4% the poor get assistance from Medicaid. Then you've got a 20%, I don't know the exact number on Medicare, it's a big number, big percentage, and then 150 million or 60% get their health care from their employer. That's right. So, and then you have veterans that get their health care that serve 20 years or more. So we're talking about dealing with about 8% of the population for health care. Everybody else is reasonably happy for the rest of it.
Why did I have to get the
surveys, but I would like to make the point that your surveys do not ask the correct questions. We are not given reasonable selections. We are your constituents, and I thank you for being here to listen to us today, but your surveys are completely inadequate. For example, why do we not ask whether we prefer presidential travel or Meals on Wheels for the elderly?
Meals on Wheels isn't going to cut. That's a misnomer, guys. They give you the state, federal grants to the states decide what to do with it. The program that's part of is being cut though.
When I first ran for office,
Put your finger in your
as
nose.
I mentioned, I've been in business before that 30 years, but the biggest issue that I heard when I ran, and I still hear today, is nobody listens in Washington. And that's the reason there's probably nobody in Washington that does as much outreach in terms of surveys and emails, because we want to get your feedback, your input, and if you've got a suggestion or a survey, let our office know, because we do have probably about 20 to 30,000 people a week that answers our survey, and it's very helpful to me. Thanks for your comment. Yes.
Congressman Buchanan, everyone that has asked a question are reading from a prepared text that has been given to them, and none of the Republicans have had a chance to be able to talk to you. Please understand that they're not here to have discourse with you. They are here to create chaos and show their contempt for our God.
Okay, I've heard that. Go ahead.
Congressman Buchanan, this is my first year as a Social Security recipient. And I am really concerned because my generation will be using up very limited resources. Would you consider, for the sake of my children who are in their late 20s, just starting out, means testing Social Security recipients?
I don't think so.
Let me just, okay.
Controversy, it looks like somebody hit a lady there.
Let me just say to you, Steny Hoyer's a leader with the Democrats and a good friend of mine. And we have a good working relationship. And we both agree that Social Security was put in place in the 30s and Medicare was put in place in the 60s. They're two vital programs, but we've got to work together, Democrats and Republicans, to be able to address this for the viability of these programs for our kids and our grandkids. I co-chair the Florida delegation. We have the third largest delegation in the country. We have 29 members of Congress. We get a lot of things done together. In terms of flood insurance, next week we all meet, Democrats and Republicans. Veterans health care issues, we spend time working together on that. So, but we've got to find a way to work together to make sure health, well, I'm answering it. Medicare and Social Security are critical programs, but we've got to work together, Democrats and Republicans, we're all Americans, to make sure it's viable long term.
A lot of anger, a lot of hostility here, folks. I'm seeing issues where I'm not sure if everybody's seen them, but a lot of hostility.
Among Florida's greatest assets are her beaches, her clean air, and her clean water. Assets for our economy, not just for tourism or agriculture or fishing, but our climate is important to housing and to healthcare. And as you know, these assets are difficult to replace. Federal regulation of the environmental issues is appropriate since actions outside the state of Florida, such as the Deepwater Horizon leak, can affect our environment and our shores. Will you join with House Republicans and Representative Cubello to support climate change science and to
At the chamber, they had their theme was good life. Yeah, good life and good business. Let me just ask the question, I'm going to give you an answer. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no?
USA!
I haven't seen Carlos's bill, so let me just say it that way. I'll take a look at it, but let me just tell you, anybody that knows me in the community, when in terms of Sarasota, their theme was good life, good business. Good life. Good life means a good environment. I grew up in the Detroit area. As a kid, I remember being on Lake Erie, and on Lake Erie, I can tell you, we had such a high mercury content that you couldn't swim in it. You caught a fish, you couldn't eat it. And I can tell you, our beaches and our air are very important to me. It should be important to everybody.
Representative Buchanan, my name is Gene Jones. I'm the president of the Florida Veterans for Common Sense. And I'd like to thank you for having this town hall today. That's very commendable. I'd like to point out that the Pentagon has admitted that they're wasting about $25 billion a year, and other monies are unaccounted for. And the special investigator for Afghanistan reconstruction reports that we're wasting about $25 billion per year there. Why would we consider giving more money to the spendthrift agency instead of using that money for more productive purposes?
Well, we just got a budget out that was proposed, no details. We are going to get additional information in terms of the details, but I want to make sure that, you know, obviously any waste, fraud, and abuse as it relates to veterans or Medicare or Social Security, we want to eliminate as much of that as we can, and we're going to continue to work in that area. Thank you.
Representative Buchanan, I have many questions. I'm a grandmother and I have grandbabies and I'm very concerned about their future. But my main question, thinking of them, is about making America safe. President Trump has made that one of his main things that he wants to do. However, I feel that the immigrant ban has been pretty much proven to be harmful to us rather than helpful.
Well, we just got a budget out that was proposed, no details. We are going to get additional information in terms of the details. But I want to make sure that, you know, obviously any waste, fraud, and abuse as it relates to Medicare or Social Security, we want to eliminate as much of that as we can, and we're going to continue to work in that area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Boy, it's taking a lot from me not to say something on
thing
this.
that has already been mentioned about taking mental health and people that are on the no-fly list off of the ban, and they can now buy guns. And also there is a new thing happening, which is criminals can buy guns, unreported guns with no serial number on them. Anybody can buy those guns through the mail and put them together themselves. That's another thing. Then also, President Trump has eliminated the ban that Obama put on for polluting of streams, rivers, and waterways. All of those things put us in harm rather than helping us be safe. And I'm just asking what you intend to do about keeping us safe.
Well, let me, someone mentioned the NRA. Let me mention, talk to her about, the world is clearly changed as it relates to security-related issues, in my opinion. The ability to recruit and radicalize over the internet is a game changer. If you look at what's happened around our country, San Bernardino, Orlando, you see what happened in Chattanooga. That's going to be a continuous battle going forward. That's my biggest concern. In Washington, our #1 goal is national security. That's what the Constitution calls for. That's our job. Thank you for the question. Way up in the back.
Vern, I too want to thank you for being here today and giving all of us the opportunity to express our views, not just the liberals that are obviously dominating this forum today. And unlike most of these people that are asking the questions, I have no prepared remarks. I didn't think I'd be making remarks. Nonetheless, I think it's wonderful that President Trump is cutting these. I don't have to ask the question. Now, President Trump has proposed cuts to the NEA, which is a Democratic Party constituency. I think he's across the board cuts to EPA, which no longer serves a valid purpose. He proposed cuts to another Democratic constituency, National Public Radio. When you get the opportunity to vote on this, I hope that you support President Trump. In the process of supporting him and support the budget cuts, I think that should also include corporate welfare. And the object of this is to get our budget balanced once and for all. And I'd like to ask you, how long do you think that's going to be? Thank you.
If you were to ask me what's the biggest issue that we've got long term, is debt and deficit. Wait, let me just say to you, you don't want to deal with the reality, but let me tell you the reality. The reality is this. Hold on. Hey, no, hold on a minute. 10 years ago, we had $8.5 trillion in debt. Today, we got $20 trillion in debt. At some point, it ends badly. 49 out of 50 governors have a constitutional balanced budget amendment. That's what I continue to push for in Washington. Way up in the back.
Congressman Buchanan, thank you so very much for taking my question. The Republicans have a three-step plan to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act. Now, this first step still protects those of us with pre-existing conditions. However, I've done some reading and I know that the eventual plan involves creating high-risk pools for those with pre-existing conditions. At the age of 43, I was diagnosed with aggressive breast cancer, which required aggressive treatment, a bilateral mastectomy, radiation, multiple reconstruction surgeries, and chemotherapy. Thankfully, I survived, and I now have an excellent prognosis. However, I fear I will be placed into a high-risk pool if the full Republican plan is passed. A high-risk pool is not a pool I want to jump into. These pools had multiple problems in the past and were much more expensive than normal insurance. My question is, will you commit to voting against the reintroduction of high-risk pools for those with pre-existing conditions so we can continue to afford care? Thank you very much.
If you're just joining, the green means you agree, red means you disagree with these cards that people are holding up.
Well, let me just say I'm sorry to hear about your condition. I'm glad that you're feeling better and getting better. But in terms of, again, as I mentioned earlier, on the health care, we're in the third inning of a 9-inning game. So this is going to be something that's going to be considered.
Congressman Buchanan, thank you for coming this morning and doing this town hall. I imagine it's as scary for you as it is for me.
I'm enjoying it.
My name is Carol Barnhart. I have lived here 9 years, and despite the fact that I'm a Democrat, I have always voted for you. And I voted for you because I thought you were fair and had good character, and you did things for me in 2009 when the real estate market went in the crapper and I had nothing to eat. As a lifelong New Yorker, I'm 71 years old. I lived in Buffalo, New York, and I have known the gestalt and the persona of Donald Trump all of my life. I am here to ask you, this is a request, not a question, from my heart to your heart. This man needs to be removed with the Trump.
Trump!
this. You know, it's not, in my opinion, the attitude I took, it's not about Trump or Barack Obama. It's about the voters that supported Trump. And we won 31 states. So let's give him some time to see, get his team in place. Let's see what he can do. And then you got plenty of time to weigh in, and I will weigh in aggressively. But I want to be hopeful for the sake of our children and grandchildren. The bottom line, he won the election, and people need to figure out how to move forward.
Sorry.
Jan Snyder, my gosh, nice to be here, Jan. Let's give Jan a round of applause.
Thank you very much for holding this town hall and for allowing me a question. My question is, you repeatedly stated your support for Medicare, and many, many people in this audience indicated that they were recipients. Paul Ryan has introduced many budgets, and you have voted for at least 6, which will turn Medicare into a voucher system. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office has estimated that that will cost the average 65-year-old twice as much for health care. My question is a simple yes or no one. As you stand here today, will you pledge that you will not vote for any bill that will turn Medicare into a voucher system? But she's wrong. I never voted for a voucher system. She knows that. You shouldn't bring that up, Jan. What they had talked about in Medicare is anybody 55 and under, there would be some adjustments. But anybody 55 and older, nothing. But nothing as it relates to a voucher system. You have my commitment. I'm going to continue to fight for Medicare, Social Security, and veterans benefits. Over here.
Thank you.
Oh, over here. We have a question.
Up here, Bert.
Yeah. Okay. Top. Okay, go ahead.
Congressman Buchanan, thank you very much again for being here. But I have a very specific issue that I would like an answer on. There were 13 rules that President Barack Obama enacted. The Republicans repealed every single one.
Yes.
The one that really bothers me the most is, and I will read it to you, and I believe you voted against this. This is a rule preventing coal companies from dumping waste products into neighboring streams. What were you thinking?
It's the economy, stupid!
The coal industry is focused primarily in the Midwest, West Virginia, probably Virginia, from their standpoint. And it's important, it's half, a lot of their jobs, I think a third of their economy up there. but that's something that could be managed. Thank you.
Congressman, I would like to address the condition of the care for veterans. Our country has really let them down, and the VA needs to be straightened out. Right now, we have 22,000 veterans on the street, and those of them who have a family have help to get care. But there are many who are too ill and don't know how to get care, and they're dying on the streets every day. I would like to know what you can do about this.
I was on the VA committee. We need to do more for our veterans. And we do spend about $200 billion a year, so you know. In this budget, one of the things I did notice is an increase, and we need to make sure we take care of all our veterans, especially those on the street. Go ahead, over here.
Representative Buchanan, one of Donald Trump's many promises made during the campaign was to drain the swamp. But what he has done is lined his cabinet with all the fat cats in the United States. He has raised it as one of his chief advisors. His Department of Justice head is questionable at the least. How can the CEO of Mobile be the Secretary of State?
Why not? The phone is running.
Well, let me just say, because someone's successful, it shouldn't be called a fat cat. I'll just say that out there. He's been in office 2 months. Give him a chance to get his team together. Let's see what he can do. Do whatever analysis you want to. Give him a chance. Yes, sir.
Buenos días, señor Buchanan. My name is Elizabeth Cuevas Nunker, and I am a Spanish-speaking American, very proud daughter of a hero of the United States Army for 25 years. Today, I am bringing an issue that is very, very hurtful for many of us Spanish-speaking Americans who are being here, given everything that we have for this great nation. One of the things that I would like to tell you is that the Democrats in the last elections, they have given $2 million to bring Puerto Ricans, non-residents in Florida to vote in Florida. I boo to you too, boo to you too. I know. I filed a federal lawsuit and I stopped the incoming Puerto Ricans to vote non-residents in Florida. But we also have an FBI investigation of organizations being used to get illegals to vote in the state of Florida, taking my do you know that Democrats are big, having a lot of illegals to vote illegally in the state of Florida? As you can see, Democrats don't like to hear the truth. Right. Is that Jennifer?
Is that who?
Hey, just to tell, para mejor decirle a todos ustedes, están en el horror. Ustedes votan con gente que no son ciudadanos de esta nación, nos llevan nuestro We elected you to be our voice and to represent us the way we want you. Our president won because it was a mandate for United States. We need him there, and I support him 100%. Muchísimas gracias, porque no podemos seguir en la forma en que estamos.
Let me just say quickly, thanks for your service to our country. And I do want to say that a viable Puerto Rico is good for America. They're a territory, as I would say, Canada and Mexico. They have neighbors around us that are successful, and their problems don't come into our country. Thanks for your service. Yes.
I'm a retired U.S. diplomat at the State Department, and I have a question about the budget. The proposal that the President has sent to Congress now is for a cut of 28% in the budget of the State Department. That's extreme. I presume it's a negotiating ploy so that hopefully you'll end up with a cut of 2 or 3% or something. But is the President not aware that the first line of defense against, as he calls it, the bad guys coming in the country is the U.S. Foreign Service?
I agree with you, exactly what you said. I've been fortunate. I've been to 70 countries around the world. By the way, we're still the best place on the planet. But let me say to you, I've had a chance to meet with a lot of our ambassadors, a lot of our young Marines. I just got back from Afghanistan and Israel. But I can just tell you, they're very professional. They do a great job. And I think this is my mindset, a negotiation. I can't imagine anything close to that. And I'll keep an eye on it. Thank you.
Representative Buchanan, thank you so much for having us here today and for being here and providing us this opportunity to ask you questions. My two main concerns as a mother of three are the security of our country from any type of foreign invaders or people coming here to take our tax dollars and our jobs. And I would like, my second concern is that my tax dollars are spent responsibly. I want to know that you will support the E-Verify system throughout the United States so that our jobs go to Americans and American workers. And I would like to know that you support drug testing for anyone on government assistance.
Yes, definitely on E-Verify, and I do agree with you in terms of national security is our biggest concern. And as much as I'd like to have this go away, you look at the Middle East, I was just there, Northern Africa, that part of the world has imploded. And we got a great friend in Israel, but Syria, these other countries in Northern Africa are a big concern, and we've got to continue to work together to make that more secure. Russia's not our friend, so let me put it that way, okay?
Yeah. Good morning, Congressman Buchanan. With deep appreciation, I really am happy that you are able to stand in front of such a big crowd and hear all of these positive and negative comments. I want to echo many of the things that the people have commented before. I too really appreciate you having the ability to stand in front of all of us to hear this comment.